Hey guys, Bicep here, bring you this Season 4 Unholy Death Knight video. Blizzard, like 20 hours ago, posted that we get to vote on which tier set we want for Season 4. So, I'll make a video, talk through the different tier sets we've had over the expansion, talk about the advantages, disadvantages, how they feel to play, and especially how they're going to impact our rotation. They've stated that they're going to tune them so that the current power level shouldn't have an impact, so we're going to keep that in mind. But first of all, let's take a look at the tier 21 set for the Unholy Death Knight. So 2 set, we have Vile Infusion. Bursting a festering wound means you get a 5-second buff, which increases the damage and haste perk for your pet. Furthermore, your pet will passively grant you haste and damage, which is increased when you have that buff active on it. This is a standard maintenance buff, which we had loads of in the first season. They improved that a lot. Lots of things that were 6 seconds are now 10 seconds, but this tier set is still 5 seconds. It is kind of nice and passive, but also requires you to also play around it because you want to keep a lot of uptime on Vile Infusion. When it comes to power level, it has like all the tier sets we have, they don't really impact our damage profile that much, right? So when it comes to the tier 29, it's pretty powerful in Mythic Plus because we burst a lot of wounds in Mythic Plus and we're pressing Skirt Strike very often, right? When it comes to the raid, it's also like passively good. It might not look very good, but it's actually one of the better ones by raw value. When it comes to power fusion value though, it's at the lowest, but like we're talking like the best tier set currently has like 12k increase in power fusion. The worst one has like, oh, the worst one has 12, and the best one here has top on 5. It's very similar, right? So it won't really make that big of a difference. Anyway, the summary is a maintenance buff, quite passive, revolves around wounds, right? Now the tier 31 might be more fresh in your mind. This one revolves around Death Call and Epidemic. So the 2 set is that Death Call and Epidemic damage just increased by a raw amount, and casting Death Call and Epidemic grants a stack of Master of Death up to 20. Dark Transformation consumes Master of Death and grants 1% Mastery for each stack for 25 seconds. And then the 4 set just meant that when you used Army, you got immediately 20 stacks, really useful for like on pool burst, right? And then Death Call and Epidemic, when consuming Sudden Doom, granted an extra proc of Master Doom and gave some Mastery, right? So it both increased our burst by giving loads of mastery every time we press Dark Transformation, and also some mastery over the kind of duration there. Overall, very much a passive one. We didn't actually play around this at all. The one thing we needed to pay attention to was to use RB after we actually engaged the boss, because otherwise you would clear your stacks and that would be it. This is the... If you look at actual tuning, the tier sets are very similar when it comes to power level, except the tier 29, which is slightly better in the Mythic Plus. That's the kind of vibe we're looking at. However, the tier 30, it had slightly more peak DPS, and it benefits a little bit more from PI than the others. But like I'm talking really small ones. So tier 30, you got 12.75k for me when it comes to PI. Tier 21, 12.5. I have them up there so you can look at them, right? It's really not a big deal, and it's not, I don't think you should consider this, because you might think, I'm going to choose the spec that gives us the most PI value so we get PI in Season 4. Yeah, no, that's not going to make enough of a difference, so no need to do that. Anyway, finally, we've got tier 31. It's the current one. We have our Magazes, being really beefed up, dealing loads of both clear damage, and you get to extend them, you get lots of minions. Something I personally think is a very kind of thematic tier set, right? When it comes to like the actual power, it does pretty well in... it doesn't do that well in Mythic Plus sims, but it does really well when you have like stacked prolonged ones. Generally, when you sim like Dungeon Slice, the duration is quite short, so you don't get that much value in the sim from extending your Magazes, right? But if you're looking at like longer sims, they do gain value. I think it's the most versatile of the specs because it really fills in a gap that we currently can't fill with the other sets. Like tier 30, really big burst, synergizes really greatly with like big bursts, right? Loads of mobs coming in. You press the dark transformation, gives you loads of mastery. However, you're sitting at 4 mobs and you're doing very little, and that's where the tier 31 set fits in. Right. So that's kind of what I had for you guys. You've seen The Sims. You kind of tell that, you know, there isn't that much of a difference. Like they're tuned really well, and Blizzard said that they're going to tune them afterwards as well. I think the primary one to think about is that the tier 29 has a maintenance buff. The tier 30 requires you to pass army after you engage the boss, which isn't that big of a deal, but it synergizes really well with like big pulls. And tier 31 gets you more minions, gives you better cleave, that kind of thing. Anyway, let me know down in the comments, what are you voting for? Which one are you going for? I might let you know which one I'm going for, because I think I have a good idea now that I've made the video and thought it out. Upvote, downvote, consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you very much for watching.